to kind of do some of the prep work, the shoulder widening and whatnot. And then the following year in 2022, we began with the north end of the project, which is just south of Highland Road, the Highway 60. The project was let, and Michaels was the low bidder. We are, we're, you know, we're on a very fast pace trying to get a lot of work done before the winter. The project is doing rather well. However, we're, that Thanksgiving and Christmas is just around the corner, and yet we still have a lot of work to do yet. Next, the let package that we did was the County Line Road package that was let shortly after the north end, and we were able to wrap that up back in July of this year. So we're very happy to open that interchange up. What we did, we converted that half diamond into a full diamond. The traveling public driving through it, and like, why the city and the county, the state segmenting the corridor like this? But that was done on purpose. That was done with a lot of thoughts into it. A lot to do with funding and traffic planning. And we felt like we needed to build a new interchange at Highland Road, which is on the north segment, converting the half diamond into a full diamond, and the county line would help us mitigate the traffic when we come in there and work on the other segment within the corridor. So to kind of wrap it up a little bit here, we on the south end, we are in the first year of a 2-year project, and having to deal with UP Railroad, that railroad bridge. We're tracking rather well. We are looking to have that railroad bridge, the new railroad bridge, have UP Railroad come in early December to basically tie the track, meaning switch the tracks over, and then that way we could remove the existing railroad bridge, which now is restricting us from expanding I-43 and also the side streets, which are Port Washington Road to the east, and then Chief Nicolay to the west. Not to forget the Mequon Road interchange. We should let that back in July, and the contractor are getting ready for. They're doing the prep work. What they would like to do is they would like to get in there and begin the bridge work at Mequon Road over the winter. So the project is tracking rather well. I'm going to report out on some DBE numbers. The overall let amount totaling up to about $415 million, of which in combination, the goal was between multiple contracts that I mentioned, we should let the last of the very of the 5 packages, which is Mequon Road. So we have a program goal of 11%, and as far as commitment from the DBE, that amount and that percentage is about 15%, 15.4%. So doing the math, the dollar amount that committed to DBE companies is about $64 million. What I can also share too is
excellent.
Over 50% of that has been paid out. I could certainly get into individual package, what goal was set for each contract, but at the program level, we're doing very well.
Hey, David, who are the DBEs on that project?
Good question. I would have to go back to look up the list, Ruben, and obviously, the more common DBEs that we have in the area are doing the work on that corridor, Ruben.
Yeah, traffic control, electrical,
Right.
yep. We'll get that information.
Yeah,
okay.
we could certainly share that. Is that, just recently we had Western Builder magazine came in and did an interview, and we came up with a list long of all the contractors that we have on the project. We'll be sure to share that article. You'll be able to see all the contractors that work on that, including all the DBEs and all the subs and all the suppliers too.
Let's get that to Christina, and then she can share with
Sure.
on her notes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
So who do we got next up? How about some good news? That was great news. But we've got some really good news on the
Maybe
zoo.
better news, Bob. Better news.
Yeah, I can go next, Bob.
Yeah, thanks.
So I'm Jason Roselle. I'm the Southeast Freeway's construction chief here in the Southeast Wisconsin, and a couple projects to share some information about. The first one is the good news that Bob's alluding to, which is the Zoo Interchange North Lake project. So we're in the final few weeks here of finishing up a 3-year project, which will complete the Zoo Interchange project as a whole. And so we're really excited to have that project done and restore all the freeway lanes and all the access at North Avenue and at Burleigh and the various pieces and parts of that project, and have the Zoo Interchange done as an entire project and program. So it's a bittersweet moment for myself and our team and the department as a whole, but we're excited to finish it for the state of Wisconsin. So on the screen here, I'm just sharing some information about that project, the last piece of it. So we got a little over $160 million contract there for the north leg, and we have just around 18% committed DBE. We actually were able to, through the life of this project, increase that. We started with a goal of 15%, and I think we started the project at just under that, I think 13 or 14%, but we've been able to work together with our DBE office and the contractors to continue to add additional work and quantities and things throughout the life of the project to increase that DBE, and the contractors have added some firms along the way as well. So we're trending really well on this project, and really happy that we have been able to get the level of participation on that one as well. We do have, as you can see there, we have a landscaping contract that's still going, and we'll go here for another year with some proving periods and some additional plantings and things. And that's actually 100% DBE. So Arbor Green is the contractor on that one, and they're one of our regular DBEs that do a fantastic job working on all of our projects. So that's a little bit about the zoo. We're going to be opening everything up at the end of next week, and then cutting a ribbon on November 9th to celebrate the success of the Zoo Interchange as a whole. So lots of reasons to celebrate that project and all the work that's been done over the last 10 years.
That's great news. Who's the construction subcontractor or DBE?
I mean, we've had a number of them. Lots of trucking firms, obviously.
Okay.
Aerocrete is one that comes to mind that's been doing a fantastic job out here and been doing a lot of work, and they come to mind because they've been doing a lot of work here recently to kind of button up certain areas on the project with doing concrete barrier wall and some of the ramps and finishing up some of that work.
And Jason and Ruben, we will go into some detail in these projects in the slides that I'll share, and Benji will present with me on some other things so we can go over some of those DBs. But I think that outlet This project came in, the zoo came in with over 25 DBEs on the construction side, and it's just grown from there. So it's quite a large number. But my
Yeah, and
other
I think-
purpose for, oh, sorry.
No, I was going to say, Madeline, I think you're going to show slightly different numbers than I'm showing here too. And that's just the nature of like pulling real-time information and when data gets collected. So, it's a living document and a dynamic situation out here with the numbers and the way the project's getting prosecuted here at the end. But
yeah, we're fortunate to have a lot of good team collaboration throughout. Joe Davis has his hand up though, so I wanted to make sure to let him ask a question now if he had something about the zoo before you moved forward.
Absolutely. Can you hear me, Madalena?
Yes.
Okay, Jason, who was the
Yeah.
prime? Who's the prime on that? Because I think as we talk about DBE participation, I'm really interested in the primes because those primes really have a commitment on what we're trying to do currently right now, and that is DBE utilization. So I want to say it's Michael's, but it's Michael's.
Yep, Michael's Construction is the prime contractor on the Zoo Northleg project, and two of the other kind of major subcontractors on the project that also utilize DBE vendors and trucking and things like that is Hoffman Construction is doing all the grading work out here and a lot of the storm sewer work. And then the other major subcontractor is Lunda doing all the bridge and structure work out here. So those are the three kind of main, prime contractors, if you will, that are all working with various DBE vendors and second tier subs and things like that.
Yeah, kudos to him. I mean, I can certainly say I've visited some of your projects incognito, and there's nothing like seeing dirt moving and DBEs
Right.
performing on those projects. So DBEs are one thing, but getting the commitment from the primes to understand the whole purpose of the DBE program utilization is it's a good thing. So kudos to you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Michael's has been a great partner in that aspect. Yeah, and then I just I'll move on here quick, and I just wanted to share we have a new project that just started this fall in our backbone program, but it's a significant project for the Southeast region, and it's a rehabilitation and resurfacing of the 894 between the Mitchell interchange and the Hale interchange, and then also reconstructing the Loomis Avenue Bridge over 894. And Zignego is the prime contractor on this project. We're just getting started. We're about a month into it, doing a bunch of base patching out there and just kind of starting to work on some of the median stuff. This is, as you can see there, almost a $60 million project with a DBE goal of 8%. We're just above that 8%. And some of the DBE subs on this project are, excuse me one second, I have my notes. Intera is one of them, and Arbor Green and Hard Rock Sawing. Those are three of the major ones on this project, and then trucking firms as well. So we're going to continue to kind of report out on this project as well in this meeting, in addition to some other ones. But wanted to at least introduce this project. It's kind of a big one for us moving forward here, and it goes through all of 2024 to finish that project and resurface that entire area.
Awesome. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, we're gonna roll to the east-west now with Jeff Bowen. This one's really interesting because we solicited for final design. Now that's just the solicitation. We don't have the authorization to start these contracts, but once we do get that record of decision and then the authorization to move forward, we will. But the exciting part about this is the selection of the two major firms that we selected for this completion of the final design projects. And one of them, of course, is Andy Kowski's HNTB firm, and they do have a mentor protege program with several other DBE, one other DBE. And I do know Dave Gross is on, and Matthew, you are both part of that selection and program. Did such a nice job in the interview process, and really are part of that program. So when Jeff talks about that, feel free to, or any of the other DVs that were, feel free to talk a little bit about what your roles are on some of those projects. So with that, sorry about that. Jeff, why don't you, yeah, take it away. Don't, yep.
Sure, Bob. Thanks a lot. Morning, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity to talk to you this morning. I'm Jeff Bowen. I'm one of our other project development chiefs for Southeast Freeways here in the region. So up on the screen, you should see a map. That's our east-west project, I-94 east-west, connecting the zoo down to the Marquette. I'm only going to leave this up briefly because I want to talk about some other things, but if you can see my cursor, or if you can tell colors on the screen, this kind of teal color to the left side of the screen is what we're calling our west leg project. And then the darker blue and purple in the middle, including the stadium interchange itself, is the east leg. So I want to talk about those two packages that Bob just mentioned. So I'm gonna take that off the screen. I'll start with our west leg. It's about a mile of design on the east-west freeway. We're proposing to take that from 3 lanes in each direction to 4. The entire project is within the city of Milwaukee. It includes freeway design, 8 bridges, 11 retaining walls, and then utility coordination, storm sewer, and all the other good stuff that goes with it. Our DBE goal for that contract is $500,000. We've got 7 DBE firms that HNTB, the prime consultant on this project, again, 7 DBE firms that they've listed that are involved, including, like Bob said, some folks that are on the phone today. I see Dwayne Johnson with SPAN. They've got the mentor protege program with HNTB. And Bloom Companies with Matthew. There he is. I'm trying to find him on my screen. There he is. And another group of folks. So like Bob said, these are not afterthought DBE firms. These folks are going to be involved in the design, maybe the structures, and other key parts of this project. So that's our quick spiel on the west leg. Moving. Go ahead.
No, yeah. Let's hear from Andy and Matthew and I think Dave Rose is on
And Dwayne's here from SPAN.
Yeah. So Andy, why don't you just talk a little bit about that and what your thoughts were on that? I'll give you a chance to.
Yeah. Thanks, and good morning, everyone. As Jeff mentioned, we have 7 DBE subs on the west leg, and HNTB is in the mentor protege relationship with SPAN, but we also have Bloom Engineering, as mentioned before, and then RGE, Reach Grow Exceed, is a firm who's growing in Wisconsin. They're also in the mentor protege program. They're going to be a sub to us. And I mentioned this yesterday on the statewide DBE call. For us, this is not just checking the box. We are going to put our DBE firms to work, and we have high expectations for their performance. As project manager, I'm going to pull together a work plan and a division of responsibilities to ensure their success. We want to have their senior folks involved, their mid-level and junior engineers to, make sure that they can get good experience in all their areas with their staff and help them grow. So we're excited about the opportunity. We're thankful for the selection. We're committed to our DBE partners, committed to not only attaining that goal, but exceeding that DBE goal. And it's a good, fast-paced, challenging project, which will help our DBE subs get a lot of great experience.
Thank you. Thanks.
Hey, what's the DBE goal on that project, on that contract?
So they're not percentages, right?
Okay.
So on the professional side,
Yeah.
and this was Jeff, was it 500?
This one
Oh,
was
500.
500,000 on this contract. Yep.
Okay, what's the total of the contract?
Hopefully 501,000, right, Andy? We haven't negotiated anything yet, Ruben,
No,
so,
I was thinking about for the, not just for the DBE side, but for the project,
Project as a whole.
project as a whole.
oh, yeah, well, like I said, we haven't negotiated anything, so there's nothing.
Oh, okay.
So Ruben, Jeff will get into and talking a little bit about the larger project.
Okay.
But combined, it's substantial, right? This is a $30 to $35 million
Yeah.
consultant project. So
Okay.
yeah,
Or more.
or yeah. So you're going to really see that number jump up on the next project that he'll be talking about.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Thanks for that, Bob.
All right.
Yeah,
what?
so for our stadium and East Leg project, that's the right near Miller Park and then heading to the east. A significantly larger project because of that interchange. That's about 2.5 miles of I-94 reconstruction. Again, all in the city of Milwaukee. The stadium interchange itself, we're converting to a diverging diamond interchange, and maybe some of you folks got to see our model at State Fair or some of our other displays. That interchange alone is 27 bridges and 31 retaining walls, so a lot of structural work in there. The east leg itself has another 11 bridges and 9 more retaining walls right now, along with, obviously pavement design, earthwork, utilities, storm sewer ponds, and all that other good stuff that comes with reconstructing a freeway. So Ruben, on this one and others, this is a $4 million goal for the DBEs
Okay.
on
Nice.
this contract. So quite a bit larger, bigger contract in general. On this one, Jacobs Engineering is the prime. I don't know if anyone from Jacobs is on, but they have committed to 8 DBE firms on this one, including LT Leon, who's their mentor protege program with Jacobs. But there's a lot of the same folks, Bloom Companies with Matthew. Span is on this one as well. Lakeside, Beth Foy, Prism, Gestra. Gestra does geotechnical stuff. They always do a great job. Lynch and Associates is on this one, and I hope I'm not forgetting anyone. So if anyone from that group wants to say anything about the East Leg and Stadium, feel free.
My camera is frozen, so I'm hoping you all can hear me.
Yes.
Yep.
I'd like to give the DBs on both of those projects a chance to share experiences, if that's okay. And I know Harvind is on here also from Sing. So even though they're 2 separate projects, they're related, and so maybe we can see who'd like to share. Dwayne, got your hand up?
Yep. We've been with the team for the environmental impact statement on 94 East West, and we're blessed to be part of both projects, and we're very appreciative of the ability to participate in the project, make a contribution, keep our staff busy, but as important or more important, continue to develop our staff so we can grow the firm. Things. So a really good opportunity. And back to what Andy was talking about, the mentor-mentee relationship, we're very appreciative of that. And HNTB has spent some time with us, and some other firms spend time with us, but they've done some coaching already for some of our folks. So we're very appreciative of that. Thank you.
Thanks, Dwayne. Matthew, did you want to share?
Yeah, I can. Bloom has a long history of working with HNTB from the start of our firm, and we've kept that relationship. And Andy had talked to me about this project, and we are very happy to be part of that team. Likewise, we are also part of the Jacobs team, and I know they talked to us about doing structural design, and Bloom historically has done a lot of structural work, and we are really excited to be part of these two teams and continue to develop our expertise in the field.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah, I do know we added, yes, we did add Singh, right? Harvard,
Mhm.
and I believe for maybe lighting and maybe some other things, opportunities.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, so, I've got to say that we had our original mentor protege with Grave, and it was excellent in preparing our civil staff to do the design work that we're interested in. And that has definitely helped us not only be on board for lighting, which most people know us for, but also for the civil disciplines that we do quite a bit of that we want to expand. So building our capacity in the market is a key initiative that the mentor protege program can help, and then allows us to be part of teams where any of the firms can know and can rely on the fact that we have submitted projects as prime, design work as prime, because we had a reverse mentor protege with Grafe, which allowed us to have a larger seat at the table, so to speak. So we're very excited, and I think that opportunity has really led us to be able to be a good partner with a significant amount of different scope versus what we're traditionally seen as within the larger projects in the area. So thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, Dave Bros, are you on?
Yeah, I'm on, Bob.
Hey, I was just gonna tap you because Dave, from Dave's firm, they presented Silvana, and she was in the interview, and just did a wonderful job. Silvana is really a development of EMCS's. I mean, she started as an entry, and she made those relationships, right? And now is presenting herself really well as a leader. So what?
Oh, thanks,
Yeah.
Bob. Full disclosure, we're no longer a DBE. We are one of the firms that were a DBE and moved out of it. So I think a success story. We're excited to be on HNTB's team. Thanks, Andy. But I think, as Bob mentioned, Silvana, but some others too that have been involved with the zoo interchange and some of the other key freeway projects. And we're excited to add that talent to the team and looking forward to finally get this east-west moving.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Yeah, what a success story there. Okay, so I think we're gonna end with Deb Evers, and then I got two announcements I'd like to talk after Deb rolls out a few things.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Bob. Yeah, more good news. We just had the 2023 construction fair. So in Southeast region, we made selections for 48 construction oversight packages for the 2023-2024 construction season. 16 of those packages were awarded to 14 DBE firms. And I think some really good projects were put out there and awarded to DBE firms. I can run through those firms if you'd like real quick. We had a Lakeside, Casing, Toki, M Squared, Span, Community Engineering, OES, Sing, Lynch. Let's see here, Casing, another one, Lakeside, Bloom, more OES and more Lakeside. So really good projects out there. And certainly if we continue to get any additional federal redistribution money, we'll be making additional selections for those projects. So any questions?
Or comments.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay, great. I do know Span and Associates has taken on some new construction management and is really developing their folks in that arena. So thank you, Dwayne, for helping with that. Yeah, you bet.
Hey, Bob, really
Yeah.
quick question. This is Tim McMurphy from NAMAC. Good morning, everyone. As we are, spreading the good news, and it sounds like we have a pretty good upward trajectory that we are on as we go into, I guess, this next, not immediate season, but even beyond the next 3, 5, 7, 10 years worth of anticipated project opportunities. Are there, more of, I guess, the best practices that has resulted in some of these latter good results? And is there an appetite for an even greater kind of bully pulpit from the department to really grow the DBEs to the point to where they can graduate from the program? For example, those that have been mentioned thus far in today's conversation, let's say 5 years from now, 7 years from now, they've gotten so much work to where they're no longer part of the DBE program because their businesses have expanded in conjunction with WisDOT. Is that something that you would think WisDOT would have the appetite to do? And what comes to mind is kind of when Maynard Jackson was mayor in Atlanta, and the Hartsfield Jackson Airport is named in his honor. There was a real push that he put forth, expended kind of some political capital to say, hey, prime contractors, we really want you to have some projects that you work with our DBEs on, even so far as to maybe craft race and gender neutral small business reserve programs, such that if a project is 500 million or $1 billion or whatever, there's a certain percentage of that only the DBEs can go ahead and vie for. Is that something that you think, I know you might not have a crystal ball, that the department would be game for moving forward, given all the largesse that is kind of coming our way over this next decade?
Yeah, it's a great question, a great aspiration, right? And it's not going to be answered by Bob Gutierrez alone.
Just
I can, I can, I
mean,
can, I can add, I can weigh in
Madalena
here
and
though.
Scott Lowry. Please go ahead and maybe Madalena, you can talk a little bit on that. If you,
Sure.
Oh.
Yes. Am I back in? You can hear me okay? It seems
Yeah.
unfrozen.
Yeah.
So while we can't do set asides, what we can do is look at, and we have talked about for some time, doing projects that are race neutral, gender neutral, that would be open to small businesses of a certain size. So they can't be only DBEs, but this is part of our regulatory aim to meet as much of our overall goal with neutral participation. We can look at projects that would be open to small businesses in general. And then we're sort of having all businesses of the same size compete against each other, but not a set aside per se that would be specific to DBE.
Yeah.
Got it. And one, I guess, a follow-up question to that, and maybe on the same vein with regards to maybe restrictions that you all have, and if so, maybe there's some other innovative ways that can be brought to bear to, still get as much equity as possible without, violating any sort of, rules or regulations. When it comes down to, let's say, race conscious contracting, if the different programs, modules, etc., that are put forth tend to result in ethnic minority contractors and DBEs not getting more than a pittance of the contracts that are awarded, but let's say white women are getting the vast majority of them. Does that need to be tweaked as well, such that there's a bit more equity in the availability of contracts as well as growth opportunities?
So the commentary here is we are meeting and exceeding all FHWA percentages, and we're really happy to be doing that. We will continue to aspire to do that. Tim, one of the announcements I was going to talk a little bit about was we are meeting with you and some folks that you'll be bringing down to the Southeast region. It's all about information, Tim. and real-time information and getting that information so you can make some planning decisions on your company. And that's the progression of how a DBE firm really can get involved and understand the complexities of contracting with the DOT. Scott?
No, I think Bobby covered it pretty well. I think it's really Madalena's team and the department as a whole and others in industry are really trying to make information available to everybody to make them aware of the opportunities that they have. Because when firms have that knowledge, they will adjust their business model. They will, make themselves available for those opportunities. And when that happens, I think then we'll see some more of that balancing out, Tim, at what you guys are looking for.
Excellent. I mean, and we are we enjoy working with you all, and we think that we have a pretty excellent, quite frankly, working relationship, thus far, and look forward to ongoing communications and conversations. And we also recognize that, it's a two-way street. It's not just on you all, it's on, us DBEs as well to, come to the table and, put our best foot forward. We just really want to make sure that when you have a once in a generation opportunity, most opportunities of a lifetime must be taken in the lifetime of that opportunity. So over the next 3, 5, 10 years, there seems to be a deluge of funding, project opportunities, growth, etc., coupled with the silver tsunami that's coming as well. Folks kind of hanging up their cleats saying, hey, you know what? I've been in this career for a long time. It's time for me to move on. We just don't want to look 10 years hence and say, man, looking back over those past 10 years from 2023 to 2033, all of this largesse came, but we still, haven't necessarily grown the capacity of our ethnic DBEs. And so with that being said, you all have been putting forth, best faith efforts. We are continuing to do that as well. We just really want to make sure that we leave no stone unturned. So it was just a question of curiosity, but thank you.
That's a good point, Tim, because, when you look at infrastructure, whether it's this administration or previous administration, infrastructure as a whole is a key economic driver, and Ruben can probably attest to that as well. That it is, and so the opportunities that exist today, I foresee those opportunities existing well into the future. It's not a 3-year. Not that we want to make progress. Don't get me wrong, but I think that's some of the recognition of firms is to say this isn't a 3-year and the money's going away. I see this as a long-term, like you said, generational type investment. And I think you look at the firms that are historically working in Wisconsin, whether it's on the contractor side or the consultant side, they're often long family, long-term companies in Wisconsin. HE&TB is a prime example of that. They've been around for my entire career. And same thing with the contractors, is making those opportunities available for folks and helping them see what path is in front of them. I think is going to be key for us going forward.
Got it.
Dwayne, you got your hand up?
Yep. And it's Tim, thank you for advocating. I think advocating is very, very important. And yesterday at the ACEC meeting, Madalena talked about the next 2-year plan for DBE, and the Fed dollars on things go way up. And I think reflecting on that last night, it was like, okay, it's like what continues on the 2 years beyond that and on and on. And there's a lot of work that needs to go on. But I think that, Bob kind of mentioned, we're so appreciative of when we get the opportunity to grow some of our staff and win a very nice job for a new construction leader who's been on a whole variety of different projects and stuff, and his roles and responsibilities have grown, and he and we need to deliver and so forth. And I think back kind of responding to Tim, I think that sustainability of opportunity and things, and trying to be able to maintain your overhead rate to bring staff on and keep them busy and so forth and sustain growth, that's a challenge. And as the silver generation or whatever goes off into the sunset or whatever, it presents lots and lots of opportunities and lots of new challenges just with the population. But thank you to DOT for that continued commitment, and to our partners out there in the consulting industry and things as well. And there's still work to do, and I think that advocation that Tim and others do is so very important.
Ruben.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
this is a great conversation that's going on, and I really think it's healthy to have this type of transparency. I think we have to recognize the success that you presented today, particularly with the construction fair, with 14 out of 16 of those packages going to DBEs. Really excited about that. Excited about seeing Bloom, Span, Sing, and all these others, really kind of get some work here. But Tim brings up a great point, too, about making sure that all boats are able to rise, and that those ethnic DBEs, as we have these legacies come in, as Tim described, that we pay attention. We understand that we can meet the goals. We've always been able to kind of meet the goals, but making sure that all of those DBEs, or as many of those DBEs across the spectrum, are kind of risen with these projects too, because we have the opportunity to do that. So I just wanted to add to that. And so kudos to the department for the progress that you have made, because it has been progress. Seeing, again, 14 out of 16 of those construction fair projects. And then the other things that the Southeast presented, that's progress. That's a step in the right direction. We've got more work to do.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ruben.
Thanks,
Fantastic.
Ruben.
So I'm going to end with just a little commentary on my own career and my own career path. Great foundation as a civil engineer at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. Professor Gormanpour was my structures and professor. So he set that great foundation, and of course working for both Dwayne and then Ruben really giving me the opportunity to move into management within the DOT, and as I, and has gotten me to this point. And what I am now aspiring to do is really put into place a management structure, and we have, you can see it, David, Jeff, Jason, Reem, Bao Tran, they're just all really, really good individuals, and they really do understand the complexities of delivering a program and projects, and then providing those opportunities for the DBEs. So we set that tone, right? You got to set that tone. So thank you, Madalena, for allowing us to present our good news story, and I'll let you or David go ahead. Thank you.
Well, thanks so much, and thanks to your team. I didn't know if Deb was still going to share anything, or if we're moving along. I'm not sure if she is on.
I'm all good.
You're all good. Okay, great. Well, thank you, and thanks for that conversation. I think it's important, and we'll continue to have these conversations as we are look to help firms, right? Grow firms that contributes and builds our industry. So that's what we're here to do. I will try to give an abbreviated presentation.
We're going to sign off. Thank you. Thanks for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Thanks, David.
You're
Thanks,
welcome.
Southeast
Bye-bye.
team.
Have a great week.
Too. Okay, so I'm going to share. I may need to turn off my camera because I'm not sure what's going on with bandwidth today. I won't be able to see any hands.
I'll prompt you if there are any
You'll let me know.
questions.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
You bet.
All right, so I'm going to present just on the 4 projects we had been presenting on. Highway 20 is going to go away. This piece here, which shows you the consulting, was locked in at this point here. And so we had achieved 15% of the total consulting contract was DBE firms. This was the construction side, and I believe that this is where it ends with 20, because I think this one is closed. So we have over $3 million on this contract. It had a 15% goal, initially achieved almost 35%, with a fairly dispersed share of the work here, as you can see, to various groups from our DBE firms. This shows you the breakdown in the type of work. I'm not going to focus on this a lot right now, and as you'll see in the next slides, it gets very tiny, but these materials will be available to you so you can look at it yourself and read the very tiny print as we get into the other projects. 50, I think this is second to the last time we'll talk about it, and it'll close out. So in the next quarter, we'll tell you how that one completed. This is the consulting again. So almost 18% of the entire consulting contract went to DBEs in this particular split here. The parentheses is showing you the number of contracts that went to each of these groups. So also here, good representation from DBE firms. So here is the construction piece, and original goal 15%, at over 27% right now. That's looking like 24 million plus. And our breakout here is showing you the various groups that we have and the number of contracts in parentheses. Here's, oh, this one isn't so tiny. So now you can see where are the big dollars on this project, right? So non-minority female sewer here, this is a big dollar amount. Big contract. Native American electrical contract, that's a pretty big contract. Hispanic American trucking contract. So we look at these to see where, when we add them up across the work types, where is a lot of work happening, and where is the bigger money, right? So you can look at this sewer work, there's one contract, and it's over here close to $8 million. Here, Hispanic American male have 31 trucking contracts, and they're down here under $1 million. So one of the things that we always emphasize is that we need to also help our firms expand the types of work that they do, because without doing that, they are limited to the amount of money that they can earn on contracts. You know, we can have 50 DB truckers on a contract, or 3 the landscape, traffic control and sewer, who are going to bring in bigger contracts. So how do we encourage firms to expand what they do, or look to firms in our recruitment practices who can come into the program, who maybe aren't aware of it, who would benefit from it, and can start being part of our contracts. So moving on to zoo, Jason talked about this, and that one was the good news. This is the consulting. Again here, we don't have any additions here, almost 11% of that total consulting contract. I think that this contract here is SPAN, Bruce has shared in the past. So they did a lot of work on this one. On the construction side here, original goal 15%, as Jason said, and now we are over 20%. That's $32 million to DBEs, and another good amount of different ethnic groups represented here on these contracts as well, with the contract numbers here in parentheses. Looking at this one, biggest line here, Native American concrete work. I saw Anne was on here from Aerocrete. So they do a lot of work for us in the Southeast region, and a lot of good work are continued to be sought after. Here we have Native American sewer again. So sewer is a money-making area on WISDOT projects. Trucking here, there's a lot of trucking on this project. So, you can look through these on your own for the various split of the lines. And again, in each parenthesis here, you'll see the number of contracts and if it's a male female group with those earnings. The 43 project is a little more complicated to show here. David did give you an overall, and said, basically 11%. That is the average when you put those contracts together. There's three main ones that are represented here on the north-south part of I-43. And we've achieved over almost 16% at this point, 56 million in DBE commitments. That is very robust. You can see the breakdown again here of the various groups, the number of contracts that they have. Often when you see this very high number, that will have a lot of trucking in it. And these are the breakdowns again. So we can see here, concrete work, that's going to be a big earning category. Storm sewer, again, big category. And then trucking throughout is represented. So, when you add up all the trucking lines, here's one, you will end up with, a bigger percentage of this project. Here, erosion control, landscaping oftentimes does have a higher amount of contracting value. And that is it for my slides. So I'll stop sharing there. And Ruben, I see you have your hand up.
Oh, do I?
Oh, maybe not. Okay.
Will you share these slides?
Yes. Yes. It's very tiny and I go through it fast. So yes, we will share them so that you can delve into it a little deeper. And again, we will, the next time around here, be able to bring in 894 as Jason gave you an introduction. And we'll start tracking that one as a couple others fall off. So with that, Benji, can you do a brief overview, please, of where we're at for our overall attainment? Benji's our program engineer.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Okay, let me just share my screen. All right. These numbers are through 10/23. This is our DBE attainment report. And around the first week of December, we're going to be sending over our second half uniform report to FHWA. But for right now, as of the 23rd, the attainment report is through our September LAT, which was our last LAT in the federal fiscal year of 23. Our modifications are through 10/23, and our consultant figures are also through the end of the fiscal year at September 30th. Our goal was 12.41%. Our overall federal funding and DBE attainment Fed funds for construction and consulting year to date is just under $1.1 billion. Our DBE commitments to consulting was 24.6 million. Our DBE commitments for construction, which also includes our modifications after contract execution, is 116.9 million for a total of $141.5 million in DBE commitment and participation. So our overall DBE attainment is 13.15%. And that number has the propensity to change because we're still collecting after contract modifications through the end of October into the middle of November to make sure that we're collecting all those DBE commitments that will go in our uniform report for the end of this fiscal year. Our construction at LET was 91,743,409. And as I said before, the 116.9 million is also comprised of 25.1 million in after contract execution, where our contractors and our consultants are bringing on extra DBE participation in their projects, and we applaud them, we thank them, we think this is great, because they really are showing a commitment to our DBE firms. So for Fed funds, just on the construction side alone, we had $909 million in construction Fed funds. And for a consultant, excuse me, we had just under 176 million, again, for the total of just under $1.1 billion.
Great. Thanks, Benji.
Mm-hmm.
What we'll do, since just because of our timing here, is we'll make sure that we do include the breakdown for those firms. We can let you know which firms are on which project. I know David said his team, or Bob's team maybe, was going to work on that. So Benji can coordinate with them to make sure that that we get that information together that'll go along with these slides. And at the end of November, we will submit our uniform report to Federal Highways. And at that point, we will be able to say officially where we're at for our overall goal attainment. We will have demographic data that we can share at that point. And we know that we have exceeded the goal, but we will tell you then just to what extent we did so. Okay, I'm not seeing any hands. Don't know if there's anything in the chat. I'll check quick. Okay.
So, Madalena, when you say the demographics, will that be by ethnicity?
Right.
For the 13%.
Pardon me?
So you'll look at the achievement, 13% achievement or so. Will that be broken down by ethnicity?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So we do that twice a year as a requirement to FHWA, Federal Highways. And so we look at male, female, and then the ethnic group participation. And then my team actually takes it a level further, and we break those into work types. So the projects that we showed you right now, those are per project, but we could run that to say, okay, overall, here's our achievement in trucking for Pacific American female-owned trucks, something like that. So we can drill down a little deeper. Sure. Okay, well, thank you. We want to go to Maggie to give our labor utilization report before we move into our breakout sessions. So Maggie, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Thank
Hi,
you.
everyone. Hope all is well. Let's see. I'll share my screen here. Can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So today I'll be sharing the labor data report for the last quarter of 2023, specifically the period of June 30th through September 30th. And I'll start with the Zoo Interchange project. I'll be looking off to the side because I have a couple additional notes, but bear with me here. So for the current reporting period, there has been a jump in the number of employees, 128 additional employees from the previous period. The number of minorities has gone up, an increase of 45. There is the demographic breakdown below for those who would like to look at that breakdown. The number of females on the project had a small increase, still remains at the 2%. The HDST graduates, total working hours and number of graduates remains the same since the last reporting period as well. I can take questions on the separate projects at the end if you all don't mind. The next project we have is I-43 North-South Freeway from Brown Street to Capitol Drive. There has been a small increase, I guess not so small, 215 in the total number of employees. Growth of 109 in the total number of minorities, which takes us up to 47%. So that's a nice raise in those numbers. Total number of female workers on the project is 14. The percentage has gone down just a little bit due to the increase of female workers. And the total of HCST graduates and hours earned for that project remains the same at 2 graduates and 36.75 hours. Breakdown for the next project, State Trunk Highway 50 in Kenosha and Pleasant Prairie, has a very small increase in the number of total employees at 18 additional employees. A decrease in the number of minorities, 99 minorities has dropped off that project. 1 additional number of females on the project, so that remains at 3%. And 1 additional minority female on the project. There is also an additional HCST graduate working that project and a raise in hours. And that's a pretty nice amount of hours from the previous project. And last but not least, we have State Trunk Highway 20, Washington Ave in the city of Racine. And that is the project that was mentioned will be ending. There are no changes in numbers for this project. For this reporting period, it all remains the same from the previous reporting period.
Great. Thank you, Maggie.
You're welcome.
Do we have any questions for Maggie?
Great information.
Thank you. Let me stop sharing here.
Yes. And Maggie will be in that labor subcommittee, so you can also continue the conversation with her about these projects in there. For those who are going to labor, we did our best to split up the groups. If you find though that you end up in the wrong committee or you'd like to be in the other committee room, just let Christina know. You can message her. We will record all of the sessions though, so if you miss one, you can listen to recording from the other one. Okay, so with that, Christina, would you send us to our subcommittee breakouts, please?
Yep, doing that now.
Thank you. We have a robust group interested in hearing about the UWM research. So I won't delay it any further. Professor, I see your circle is here. Are you ready to take us into the study?
Yes, I'm still here.
Great. Okay.
All right.
Yes. So if you want to just go ahead and share your screen and I'll go off screen and we'll let you
Okay.
take it.
That would be good. So can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much for the opportunity to share with you the results of our study. This is a study that's sponsored by Wisconsin Department of Transportation, conducted at UWM over the period of 18 months. And there is a final report that is publicly available on the department's website. And thanks for the introduction. It's very good to see a lot of familiar faces here. And Bob, we are very thankful and proud that we have you and Matthew and many of our graduates from UWM to reach high marks. So a point of pride for us. So we appreciate that as well. So the study is titled "The Maximization of DBE Participation," and we have the objectives of this study as being the identification of initiatives and actions that can maximize engagement and participation of DBEs in federally funded construction and professional service contracts awarded through Wisconsin DOT. So to achieve our objectives, we did a number of things, a number of tasks, reviewed various programs, federal, state DOTs, Wisconsin DOTs, and looked at the award process and data for DOT for DBE awards. We looked at the promotion and outreach activities of the department, and collectively taking into account many components, we identified barriers that some DBEs or most DBEs face, and what it would take to remedy those those barriers. And we have come up with a set of recommendations, and then we put that in a context of implementing a pilot program to to achieve the goals of the study. So so to establish or to figure out the state of DBE programs in the state of Wisconsin, we looked at the outreach program, an assistance program that includes workshops, training sessions, various committee meetings, roundtable meetings, such as meetings that is today, mentoring program, and outreach in terms of newsletter, email, personal contacts, websites, and also networking opportunities that the department provides for DBEs. We found out that the department conforms to federal and state requirements. It meets federal reporting requirements in terms of providing the uniform reports and triennial reports, or basically federal reporting. And the program sets goals and has met its goals over the recent years, according to the reporting that has been made from the uniform reports. However, the issues that we find is in observing disparity of awards to minority versus non-minority firms, and how these to be addressed, which obviously impacts meeting the goals, or how the goals are achieved, and as well as addressing a more strategic outreach and assistance to DBE programs as a whole. And the strategic statement of the strategic effort is really critical for a lot of these issues that we are facing, or we found throughout this study. So basically, it's got to be quite a bit of emphasis on a strategic approach on many fronts. This slide basically shows a map of various states with set goals and attainment goals for 2022. And the similar map shows a 3-year average attainments and so forth. And where the various states are all over the places, from pretty high goals that are set and achieved, and then to states that are very minimal and not much information is available, or not much effort has really been made.
Excuse me, doctor. Excuse me. This is Tim McMurtry from NAMAC. I didn't mean to interrupt you. The map isn't showing up on my screen. Will you make this available after the presentation?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Sure, no problem. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Can other people see that, or?
Yeah, I can see it.
I see it.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got it.
All right. So basically, the map points out and it places Wisconsin DOTs level of setting goals and attainment in a third quartile. So basically, anywhere between the 16 and 20 among all the states. Now, in terms of award disparity, the disparity in contract awards became apparent to us during the review of the uniform reports from 2017 to 2021. And the uniform reports generally includes a lot of data and information on prime contracts, subcontracts, DBE awards, race conscious, race neutral awards, and payments made, goals set and achieved, and the various types of award distribution. So we are looking at this slide, basically the award disparity for minority DBE owners highlighted in this slide were yearly contract awards to the 6 groups of Wisconsin DBE owners are shown from 2017 to 2022. So the 2022 data is actually an update to our reports data where our data was reported up to only 2021. So in terms of a perspective in population among different groups of DBEs, if we look at the 2021 data and the total registered DBEs, the Black American population is at 38%, followed by white female owners at 32%, Hispanic Americans at 16%, Asian Pacific American at 7%, Native Americans at 5%, and subcontinent Asian Americans at 2%. So glancing at the data, it clearly shows the disproportionate level of contracts awarded to white female owners in terms of its population among all registered DBE owners. This repeats itself in each year of this study, including the updated 2022 data. And although the population alone may not be the sole factor in awarded contracts, the observed disparities for most of the minority owners here needs to be addressed very clearly.
Al, I have my hand up, but I'm not sure you can see it.
Yes, I can.
Oh, you can? No. Well, sorry. Then I'm just interrupting.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Rudely.
Now I can see it because you're on my little screen here. Yes.
Okay. Well, so what I just wanted to clarify here is that the numbers that you looked at here population-wise are the entire directory, correct?
Yes.
So when we run
registered.
these numbers, heavy highway specific, which is one of the things that we would like to do, then this will change. There's no doubt there's still more earnings happening for our Caucasian female-owned firms, but as a percentage of heavy highway, that would be a different number than as a
Yes.
percentage of the entire directory, many of whom wouldn't work on heavy highway projects.
Yes. Yes. And the reason we considered all registered DBE owners is because because of the comparison that we wanted to make with other states. And looking at the triennial reports and looking at disparity values for various states, we realized that the majority of those states are considering the total registered DBEs in terms of calculation of the so-called the disparity index that we also mentioned. I have it on this slide.
Right.
So
Okay.
yeah,
Thank you.
so that is another way of looking at it, and it's a good way. But unfortunately, we didn't do that part. So to continue, we have quantified the observed disparity in terms of assigning a numerical value, which is typically called the disparity index, and which is the amount of awards received by a group of owners, say known as utilization, and as a function of its population among all registered owners, which basically we considered availability. And so accordingly, an index of 100 indicates that the utilization is in par with the availability of that group of owners. An index above 100 indicates an overutilization, and a value below 100 shows a disparity. And for instance, for 2021, I have listed the disparity index for different groups of DBEs. And there is obviously a very clear indication that by far the group that is most disadvantaged or experienced disparity is the Black Americans at 23%, at the index of 23, with the 38% of population, which is the highest population in among all DBEs. The disparity index for each group is obviously stated here, and but according to our review of available states' triennial reports, it's noted that this is actually a common issue with most states. And however, a few states have actually put constructive initiatives in place and have remedied this disparity that can be used as an example of what can be done here as well. So since I can't see any
Dwayne
hands
has
raised,
his hand up.
If you have a question, please jump in so we can address that. Did you have a question?
Dwayne, you're muted.
Sorry. Professor, could you jump back for a moment to the US map that showed the percentages?
Sure.
Tim was advocating before for kind of growing the opportunities, and Madalena was talking about kind of things that the department is doing and so forth. California, Oregon, Washington, for example, they have, well, California is like 10 points higher than Wisconsin and the surrounding area. Do you have any information on why that is? Are those numbers of projects, are they getting more federal dollars that's kind of skewing it, or how are they doing those things there versus, like Wisconsin and some of the other Midwestern states?
Oh, well, throughout this study, it's been like pulling teeth to get information from different states, as well as our own state's DBE groups. So we've approached these many of these states, and we got only about 14 states to correspond with us with multiple, with our multiple efforts and trying to get that type of information. But unfortunately, we weren't able to really pinpoint exactly what is the rationale for some of these states. I mean, we can look at the population. Obviously, the minority population is pretty high in California, on the West Coast in general. Same thing in some of the southern states. But for instance, I don't have my average attainment map here that I had. If I had that to show you, California doesn't even report that. So we weren't able to be even getting the actual attainment data for them. So unfortunately, I don't have a good answer for you on this one.
That's fine. again, Illinois again has got a significantly higher percentage as well. And it's kind of like, how are they doing those things and why are they doing it? And there's logical reasons, I'm
Yes.
sure.
Yes.
But in terms of advocating for things, and I work for an African American owner and so forth.
Yes.
It's like lots of different ways to look at kind of achieving goals and doing different things. So I
Yes.
thought this one stood out.
Yes, actually, the state of Illinois that you mentioned is one of the states that has done some positive things in terms of reversing the disparity among the minority owners. So a lot of those would what we looked at in Illinois is based on the state laws and the state regulations that exist in Illinois versus what we have in the state of Wisconsin. But there are other ways that, as I will allude later in this presentation, there are ways to address these type of barriers. If you don't mind.
I'd like to add something quick, and then I want to give Harvind a chance because she has her hand up, and she's also from Illinois. Partially, we share her.
Yes.
So she might have some Illinois to add that she wanted to say. But I wanted to say, Dwayne, quickly that each of these overall annual goals are really based on a combination of the type of work that the state has and the DBEs they have ready, willing, and able to do that work. So it's always going to fluctuate. So if all Wisconsin focused on was bridges, for instance, then our goals would look very different than a state that only does paving. And of course, we all do things at different levels, but that is a major driver for what those goals are. What type of work do you have and who do you have to do it for the overall? Okay, Harvind?
Okay, so I wanted to just share just a little bit of insight just that I have. First of all, California is the most diverse. Washington State and Oregon are not. They have major issues. Oregon actually has federally mandated race-specific goals for African Americans and subcontinent Asian. There are not enough of that population there, but they still seem to be doing something to exceed their goals. And in Illinois, I can tell you that, and I know in Iowa, right, they don't have a lot of work. They do all of their DBE goals, not on the consultant design side, but on the contracting and construction management side. Illinois focuses a lot on it's a will from the top, to be honest. And every project, unless there is no DBE certified in a pre-qualification category for that project, and right now in Illinois, there are no DBE certified in SCAT, signal coordination and timing, because Illinois has pre-qualifications. So every single project that they put out on their quarterly solicitations has a significant goal because of how many DBEs they have in the state. So depending on how they calculate it is, so let's say they have a project on their bulletin, and you have to remember the projects are a little bit larger and it has certain pre-qualification categories. Let's say there's 4 of them, freeways, this. They then look at all the DBE firms who have that pre-qualification category for those, who can do that work, and based on that, come up with the goal for each design job, and contracting goals are separate. So once it's bid and let, they have their own separate goals to make. So that's how they're able to do it. It's a significant design goal, not just a construction goal.
Okay.
My 2 cents.
Thanks.
All right. So if I may continue, in trying to identify and addressing barriers, our efforts included a survey of DBEs within the state. We conducted interviews with DBE owners, prime contractors, prime consultants, industry leaders, and we looked at DBE awards, the view of different stakeholders of Wisconsin DBE program. barriers that the DBEs face, how to remedy these barriers, and looked at the value of DBEs to primes and to the state's economy, improving the communication, what initiatives that need to be taken, the role of the state in taking those initiatives or remedying the issues, and the challenges for the highway industry as a whole. These are summary findings from the combination of these efforts that we made. And in general, everyone sees DBEs as an asset to the transportation industry in the state. Conversing with primes, they view the biggest challenge they have is finding qualified DBEs in the state. So there is a need for growing existing capacity for DBEs and developing new qualified DBEs. Issues that came up, like monitoring timely and committed payments to DBEs. So the cash flow issues is very important to especially the smaller DBEs. It's an observation of varying attitudes towards DBEs from staffs in some regions, lack of communication between DBE office and Wisconsin DOT's project managers. Goals, the observation is the goals are met mostly through race-neutral means. That goes back to the high rate of awards to female owners. Actually, talking to our prime contractors, they are asking Wisconsin DOT to ask them to award 5 or 10% of all awards to DBEs. And and they are aware of the requirements that the state cannot require that, but they are insisting, says, hey, Wisconsin DOT is one of our major clients, or the clients, and we will do whatever they ask us to do. So here you go. So there is a solution, at least to some extent.
And Al, I think those two statements both refer to the professional services side, right? So the race neutral.
Actually to both.
Because race neutral, well, then there's a misconception from outside, because we don't meet most of our goals through race neutral means. That's what we aspire to, but we don't. Maybe around 4%. We do meet through race neutral means. We want to get that to full on.
Yes, I did not mean that this is related to that question of meeting the goal, but in general, these are separate findings from different prime contractors and prime consultants and so forth. So so another finding was creating pre and post award onboarding mentoring programs and opportunities. More resources should be allocated to the DBE office so they can assist DBEs. Different DBEs face different barriers. And there are successful DBEs, minority DBEs, non-minority DBEs, and there are DBEs that struggle. The barriers for construction DBEs are different than the barriers to professional services DBEs. In fact, there are based on our finding, very limited amount of barriers exist for professional service DBEs, except they would like to get more opportunities for more contracts, and need better contract award practices.
Dwayne has his hand up.
Yeah,
Yes.
Professor, this is Dwayne again.
Yes.
I would say I'll stay in my lane and speak about professional services, and I'm not passing judgment or anything. I'm just saying, but opportunities to win and then perform as primes is important to growth. Working and growing as a sub and so forth is so very helpful to get started and kind of maintain and grow and things. But at some point, you know, you've got capabilities to hopefully operate as prime on different projects. And I think that that's important. And those are the types of things we're trying to do at SPAN.
Yes, I agree. And our report, actually, I do not have the slide that I presented earlier, but it is included in our report. We have data that basically showing the percentage of awards given to DBEs as subcontract versus primes, and there's a big difference. And obviously, there is quite a bit of improvement that can be done in that area as well.
Yeah. I like the one observation, WSDOT should ask primes to award 5 to 10% of all contracts to DBEs. In essence, WSDOT doesn't have a policy, but what we saw this morning is that they exceed on the mega projects, at least they're exceeding this. But I think this ought to be an intentional strategy. You know, even though it has to be an aspirational strategy, it ought to be one that WSDOT ought to, you know, embrace. And I think it should be way more than 5 to 10%. It should be around 18% or 20%.
I would have to second that, particularly if the primes are even asking for, which means that there is both a recognition that this is a disparity that needs to be addressed, as well as a willingness for folks to play all well in the sandlot. And so as we are having conversations about growing DBEs, about growing capacity, about growing and improving both the award amounts and the award process, there would be no time like the present to begin to really jump on that in particular, to make that a priority and a process that's embedded into WSDOT's program.
Okay. So to identify barriers, this is the barriers identified by DBEs, and the lack of resources or capital. This came up as the number one issue for DBEs who faced such difficulties and barriers, and basically then the lack of technical and business knowledge. Projects are scoped too large, and primes are reluctant to use DBEs on projects without the DBE requirements. And of course, for professional services, availability of contracts to grow and to win contracts to sustain their businesses. Barriers identified by other stakeholders include, again, inadequate access to capital, high rates for loans, bonding, and insurance. And this is an issue that is not only listed or mentioned by DBEs and other stakeholders we interviewed. We also looked at the national level with the state DOTs responding. This came up as one of the most important aspects in terms of not for successful DBEs, obviously, but for DBEs who are struggling, this is a very important aspect. Limited opportunities for educational and business growth as additional barriers, ineffective communication between DBEs and primes, and between DBE office and and Wisconsin DOT project managers. No training opportunities in quality control, price escalation, excessive contract awards to non-minority women owners, unfavorable contract awards practices. Again, not having enough qualified workforce in DBEs, and making more resources available to DBE office. Tim, do you have a question or?
Al has, or Joe has his hand up.
Yeah, thanks for the data. Let me just go back to your previous screens as it deals with NAICS codes. And this is something that, you know, CBG has been having a conversation with WSDOT about, and that is making sure that DBEs are assigned the proper NAICS code during the certification process. because there is a terminology that we deal with in this industry called liquidated damages. And I wouldn't want any DBE to have to go through that process on non-performing on a contract that they've gotten and not have the capacity and then get issued liquidated damages, because that's pretty much the kiss of death for that particular DBE if they don't have the capital in order to cover that particular cost. And so as we start talking about the utilization of DBEs, the ready, willing, and able DBEs, let's make sure that they're assigned the proper NAICS codes so that if they do get into that line of work, they do have the capacity, whether it's through the mentor protege program or whether it's in someone that's coming in to give them an equity injection for cash flow that has experience in that industry, so that they don't become cash flow poor. Because for an inspector to assign that, and I've had 2 DBEs that I've been working with that was assessed liquidated damages, and it is a very tumultuous process that they have to go through. Matter of fact, they pretty much are out of the game on submitting price quotes for projects because they don't have the financial capacity then to cover those particular costs to perform on those particular projects. So I just want to make sure that we put things in perspective when we talk about making sure that people have an opportunity to perform on contracts. It is assigning those NAICS codes, and the examiner, which I think everyone on the call knows, John Franklin, that is that is paramount to him to make sure that that DBE now has the knowledge and skill to perform those works. So you can't put somebody that's a landscaper that has a NAICS code in landscaping and have them do concrete and sewer work. That is not a good thing, because I can tell you that it becomes labor intensive, it becomes capital intensive, and next thing you know, and they may not be able to actually submit the proper price quote to cover the cost, specifically as the Davis-Bacon rules have changed. So, you know, let's talk about this holistically, and because I think there is an opportunity for us to take advantage of some of the things that some folks on the call have talked about, but I certainly don't want to put Black and brown businesses into that situation where they bid on a project or they submit price quotes on a project, and they're actually coming to work on a project to pay to work on that project, because we've seen that happen before.
Yeah, that's a good point, Joe. And, you know, I appreciate you referring to John's due diligence, and we do work with our certification partners in the rest of the UCP to also have a consistent approach to make sure that we set DBs up for success, not failure, right? Ruben has a question, and then let's go back to Dr. Gordon-Port.
So there's 2 sides to that coin. You know, can a person, if they have the wealth, can they own an engineering company and not be an engineer? You know, do you have to have substantial knowledge, or do you have to have the means to be able to purchase substantial knowledge? So there's a lot of firms, you know, and I know a lot of that goes over to the credentialing agency, and a lot of folks look to stand up firms or to expand their capacities, but they're stopped from doing it. They have the capital to do it. They have the ability to bring the necessary expertise to do the job, but they're not allowed to do the job. So there's 2 sides to that coin.
Sure, but we're always going to look at technical competence and owner control. And so those are critical to being able to do any kind of expansion. But I want to be mindful of the amount of information left to present here. So we might have to do a part 2, Ruben, because I like having a lot of engagement in this conversation, but I want to make sure that our professor can get a little further in.
Okay.
So thank you.
Right.
Professor,
Thank you.
back to you.
Yeah, thank you to both of you, Joe and Ruben, very good insights. So from the DBE's point of view, this is how we can overcome some of these barriers. Obviously, but the highest percentage goes to the increasing DBE goal on projects, and providing more trainings, times and locations at different times and locations, one-on-one outreach training, enact onboarding programs, and pitch the programming benefits to DBEs, because there are some DBEs are not aware of what is going on. Obviously, cutting the administrative requirements would be very beneficial. The resources that have been very helpful most to DBEs in the state of Wisconsin, by far the annual conference and networking summit is very helpful. The training workshops and the mobilization loan and bonding and insurance programs that the department offers. So with this, I would go into the actual recommendations that we have, and we are going to present our studies recommendations in the context of a proposed pilot training and onboarding program to be implemented by Wisconsin DOT. This pilot program is an ambitious undertaking, but it is essential to be implemented in order to overcome the various disparities and the barriers minority-owned DBEs face. So as such, the goals for these recommendations and implementing this training, this pilot program, is to remedy barriers, including contract award disparities for minority-owned DBEs, enhance capacity of existing DBEs, and create new firms to address shortage of qualified workforce in the states, which in fact it will enhance economic growth of the transportation industry in states through developing and engaging a qualified workforce. So our proposed pilot program will be built on 5 essential pillars or initiatives to achieve the stated goals and assure a successful outcome and getting to our stated goals of DBEs who need assistance. These initiatives would include capacity building, educational programs, tailored mentorship, strategic outreach, assistance, and networking, and a holistic strategic approach, and the contract award assistance. So I will talk about these individually, and basically the capacity buildings would comprise of access to capital solutions. The state can pull DBEs and negotiate favorable loan, bonding, and insurance rates, require upfront payment as a startup funds for DBEs, work with primes for prompt payment to DBEs, because this has been a major issue, talking with a lot of DBEs in terms of affecting their cash flow, assistance with human resources, managing and including managing risks. This is going back to what Joe Davis was mentioning as well, and providing back office supports.
Al, can I just stop you for 1 second?
Sure.
Christina, please give us more time and we'll go back to the full group with 5 minutes left. And Matt Grove has his hand up.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just sending you a message, so okay, I will do
Thanks.
that. Mhm.
I did. Go ahead. I had a question about the last one, so it sounds like you're going to work through it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, good. The educational programs, initiatives, strategic training, including online opportunities, create training scoring system to identify qualified DBEs, incentivize DBEs participation in educational programs through scholarships, financial assistance, and create the programs leading to certificate, associate, college degrees. And we have a golden opportunity to take advantage of existing programs through partnership within the university, the DOT, trade technical schools, private organizations, and such as CBG, and other organizations, and promote careers in engineering and construction. Tailored mentorship would be essential, again, as one of the initiatives of the pilot program. Identify and pay qualified, experienced mentors to be involved in the program, provide pre and post-award tailored mentorship, provide bid assistance and facilitate bidder communication with primes and WSDOT. The strategic outreach and assistance and networking initiatives, it would include developing a strategic plan to increase the program's effectiveness and participation of DBEs. Again, the goal is to create the standing strategic plan committee with internal and external stakeholders to look at this whole program strategically and guide the program through the development and dealing with all these issues with barriers. Offer events according to need, frequency, location, and time. Offer financial other assistance to events participants. Promote qualified DBEs in professional meetings and relevant media. Enhance the effectiveness of networking events, and there are a lot of ways to do that. Make it easier to navigate the DBE website, includes recorded training session on the website, and create a mobile DBE app to improve visibility of programs and projects information and updates. And the last slide that I have is basically the initiative on contract award assistance. Integrate the pilot program with ongoing highway construction projects so DBEs can get involved on the mentorship so they can succeed. Develop a process to select suitable DBEs in stages based on their readiness and the amount of work that they need to do to become ready. And select qualified DBEs who have experienced award disparities. This is, again, addressing the disparity that we've observed. Waive low bid requirements as much as possible or feasible or practical, and suggest specific training and education for the selected DBEs so they have a guide in terms of how to get to the stage of readiness so they will be qualified to get these highway projects. Assist DBEs to win and compete contracts on their own merits. Suggest primes to award certain projects to qualified DBEs. Size projects based on specific DBEs capacity and qualification, and assess the progress of the selected DBEs and assist as needed during the projects. Set goals for professional services projects to incentivize participation of new DBEs. So this is a kind of a pretty quick run into the work that we've done. And with this, if there is time for any additional question or discussions, I would welcome that.
Unfortunately, we have to go join back into the main group and we can't delve into it further. But what I'd like to do is to invite you back. We'd meet quarterly, but we have a lot of work to do in between as we start formulating what this might look like. And so I think it would be great for us to come back together as a group to talk about where we're at the quarter. So thank you, Professor. I know Christina's going to send us back soon.
Thank you.
I will do
Thank you,
that now.
Professor.
I just kind of jumped over and listening on here, so I know when
Okay.
you were ready.
All right, thank you.
All right. Anyway, there we go.
I agree. Thank you, John.
You got it.
Normally facilitates, and I'm kind of his backup, and I take notes. He actually had an emergency to attend to, so he sent me a message saying he couldn't attend the meeting today either. Let's see. Yeah, so I wished him well. I hope he's able to handle what he needs to take care of. But what I will do is I'll share the DBE 2024 goals document.
Okay.
And we can work from there. Just one moment. If anyone can let me know once I'm sharing that. Can you see that, John?
Hold on. I'm doing double duty. Yes, I can.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah.
So pretty much what we had planned for the breakout session of the meeting would be to continue going over this document and find out if there are any goals that have been reached where we could add team responsibilities to, or any that are in the process of being met still. I did make some updates to the document just to list, for instance, to find and recruit good talent, one of our objectives, under the goal of increasing the labor force hiring and workforce diversity on WISDOT projects. One of the initiatives that we have taken has been the HCWP workforce partnership meetings, working with the workforce board, partners, and providers to increase the labor force hiring. My apologies here. So that's one of the initiatives that's currently being met or in progress of being met. I haven't made any updates to the improved work culture in the industry. So if anyone that is part of our team or our breakout session, this group, has any insight you would like to add, I can most definitely make updates to any of the goals that have been met or, as said, are in progress. I've also added some additional links to our YouTube playlist or underneath the initiative of attract young and diverse workers to the industry. We've been doing a lot of media outreach as far as those videos go, posting them on social media and different platforms with the hopes of reaching a more diverse group of workers. And feel free to stop me anywhere along as I'm scrolling if need be.
I'm sorry, may I interject here for just a moment? This is Raymond Lund. Forgive me that my video isn't on. I'm just traveling right now.
Okay.
However, I wanted to add to that list in regards to places or organizations to connect with, various houses of worship, because I know for a lot of minorities, like their choice of house of worship, whoever that religious leader is, can be seen as valuable. That if they're bringing attention to something that often sometimes can be an untapped resource.
Okay. Correct. I'm adding that. Am I adding that under the correct objective, Raymond, for find and recruit good talent?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. That update. Thank you for that. That's absolutely correct. So would you happen, just an additional question to that, would you happen to have any insight or ideas on how to do so? I guess I was thinking like within the state,
Yeah,
how would I
so
bridge
for a
that
lot of
connection?
yeah, absolutely. So for a lot of Hispanic men and women, many of them are closely connected with the Catholic Church.
Mhm.
So you have the Wisconsin and Missouri Synod that's housed right here in Wisconsin. Milwaukee, excuse me. It's I think it's like on like 80 something in Capitol Drive. If we are able to get them like some talking points, they could probably disseminate that to all of the various parishes that they're responsible for. And then just like along denominational lines, just connecting with some of the big faith leaders, pretty well known folks that are in the city and throughout southeastern Wisconsin with the same content that they can, just inform their parishioners of it. Links to those videos would be helpful because a lot of them have, the capability to be able to show those videos, briefly during their worship services. And that would kind of help, a mom, a grandma, a dad, regurgitate that information to someone close to them. Hey, here's a career opportunity for you to be able to take advantage of, with a family sustaining wage.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm making notes of all of that, and I will update the notes to be submitted for the breakout session as well. Thank you. I'm going to update the additional notes that I'm taking after our breakout session just to keep in line with our time, but I'm going to make key notes so I remember where to go back to. That's very great, a very great suggestion. Thank you very much, Mr. Monk.
Maggie, this is Bernard. How's everybody doing today?
Doing good. How are you, Renard?
Hey, what's up,
Glad to have you
Renard?
with us.
Good, I'm good. The things that, as far as targeting specific audiences, I don't know how to say this, where we can put it into some wording, but, looking at men and women, especially, minorities and women who are, find a way to attract people who are actually in the labor force, who are just not making, family supportive wages. As the brother just said, those are, very fertile areas, because they already have a work ethic. Men and women know how to get up and go to work every day, but how to do that, I don't know. But to kind of put an emphasis on, finding a way to target those men and women who are already in the labor force, making less than, $15 an hour.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's see here. And so for example, I attended the Wisconsin Tribal Transportation Conference the past 2 days at Potawatomi here in Milwaukee. And there was one of the presenters was UMOS. And it got me thinking about a lot of the support service centers that are in the different areas and regions that we provide that maybe information can be submitted to, because UMOS, Maximus, if they're still open, hopefully they are, but that's just one that I could think of from years ago in my experience. But maybe if I can get our website links and some of our flyers and additional handouts to those areas, they can post them, because a lot of people already within the workforce have connections to those. Okay.
So yeah, that's with our union brothers and sisters or organizers, it's called that poaching, where they go around and they try to get people who are working non-union and try to get them to come to the laborers or come to the plumbers, because they see them out there working hard, the painters, but they know they only making 15, 16 bucks, and painter, makes like 30 some dollars an hour. So I like where Renard is going. And definitely the entities that you named, especially like a UMOS, they see a lot of people, and I pardon the term immigrant population, but who are, do a lot of work in the trades, and they kind of get locked into, you know, situations where I don't think they're being paid what they're worth, for, various reasons, whether they just don't know how to connect or they might have some, other issues. But so your ideas of UMOS and Maximus are pretty good. Probably more, in my experience, more skilled people seem to traverse through the UMOS of the world, but in Employ Milwaukee's and
Oh yeah, Employ Milwaukee is. I'll add that.
but I'm wondering, is there a way? Maybe I should sleep on this. I don't know if it run contrary to their goals, but if we could maybe get some of our union participants, such as the laborers, Local 113, the ops or whoever, to maybe get them to start helping to disseminate our information, because it all leads back to them anyway. It's and if they want someone to have been trained, lack of a better word, prior to, or I don't know, indoctrinated or led through, assessed and prepped. That's probably the better word. Prior to coming over, through their participation through HCST, they're coming out with a good skill set. They've had some hands-on training. They've got industry recognized credentials. I know that we all, connect them to registered apprenticeship or at least introduce them to the concept. So I don't know. I'm just throwing that
I
out
think,
there as another
yeah,
means
that's
to
a good
try to.
idea. That's a good
See,
idea. I'm going
right
to add
there.
that as well.
Yeah. That what you were saying, John, is right where I'm sort of at, where uh uh how to do it, I don't know. But the HCST model is the perfect way. I interviewed a kid on Tuesday, and he's been working in a quarry for the last 2 years, $15 an hour. And he knows that you know it's again, it's a non-union job. I don't, I'm not throwing any of the non-union people under the bus because I got some great non-union contractors that pay a livable wage, but this one isn't. And he knows he can make all of the skills that he has already received. He's driving all kind of heavy equipment. He has a skill set. He's just trying to get that family support and wage. And as you said, John, this could be an avenue, but how to connect to these people because they're out here. He came through one of my former grads who referred him. But how can we better connect to them? That's the catch
Yeah.
22.
Yeah, I'm gonna think about that some more too, Renard. And I think for us to be what's the word I'm looking for? To not overlook any entities. What about um I guess I call it non-union contractors or represent I don't think the word representative maybe fits, but have we us DOT have we encouraged the contractors to share this information. Someone probably is going to roll up on their job site talking about, can you give me a job? And a lot of times, they may want to defer for whatever reasons if they don't, know the person or feel like they come in with the right qualifications or know how to sell themselves. So they could leverage us as a means. So can we, somehow communication with the contracting community, those who do business with the DOT, be it union or non-union, um, for them to help us with this outreach and recruitment. So just throwing that out there. And I like I said, I'll put my mind to that whole labor side thing, how to crack that net out.
Okay.
I'll come up with a solution for that. Just let me
And
sleep
what
on it a
I'll
little bit.
do is start my work on making sure that I have the materials to get out to these different entities. Having flyers made. I am working right now currently with DWD to have updates made to their pre-apprenticeship website so that people will be directed to the right place when they go to that website, which will connect them back to our HCST page, as well as the direct connections to our providers. Because you all do have such lovely connections with the contractors and the union representatives.
Well, I'm
Thank you
just
for that,
saying
John.
that's the first thing they want to do when they'll either say, "Oh yeah, go to Forward Services, go to Big Step." They kind of redirect people our way. Well, be a little more substantive in your communication. I mean, if you send them a Forward Service, if you send them a Big Step, we're going to take care of them. But sometimes people don't know what that means, and they just come and they're like, "So and so told me." So if they could help us with the messaging, it'll make, I know, my job, and I ain't gonna speak for Renard, but I think we live the same life. Our job's a little easier when we're trying to explain what it is we're want to do with them and what they're going to be engaged in. So anyway, all right, I'm gonna leave it right
I
there.
agree. Thank you as well, Renard. I agree.
Real
That's
quick,
wonderful.
Maggie,
Mhm.
because I know you guys are taking off running since we transitioned into HCSC. Are we actually on the Job Center of Wisconsin's list?
For department or for DWD?
Uh, just for the overall job centers all across the state.
Yeah, yep. So I'm pretty sure. I will look into that deeper because I don't want to put my foot in my mouth, but I'm pretty sure that the Department of Workforce Development runs that website. And that's, I reached out to them last week because when I went to that website and pulled the page up, yes, Forward Services is on there, WRTP is on there, a bunch of other training programs are on there. But the information, you know, when you see WRTP or you see Forward Service and then you click on the link underneath, it takes you to a dead end page. So that's what I, you know, reached out right away so that they can update their link. So when people go on there, they no longer see trans because trans is listed on there as well. While we still love the name trans, you know, we need to change it so everybody understands. And I'm have them working on getting that link updated so that it directs everyone to the correct place, because that can be some of the holdup that we're experiencing right now, or a little bit of the lag in skilled laborers. The reason why we're having a little hard time finding. Yeah. And bear with me here because this is my second time facilitating this type of meeting, and I usually do have more leaders on to help, but we're just going to keep on rolling with it. Still, the improved work culture within the industry is still a tricky one as far as the goals or the strategies behind meeting the goals, in my opinion.
What do we have on there, Maggie? My vision isn't great.
Yeah, no problem. So basically, some of the suggestions are rebrand the way that we talk about the industry, which I will add on that the rebranding of HCST from trans, that is a small step in that goal that we have started. But I'll continue. Rebrand the way we talk about the industry, look at how we message, be transparent and focus on the positive aspects of the industry, encourage mentoring supports in the industry to retain employees, toss out negative language that discourages entry into the industry and talk about what is gratifying about working in the industry. Tout the pay benefits and be mindful of how this information is communicated generationally. Diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts from the DEI. Train mentors on how to interact with the workers that are from diverse backgrounds and different generations. Identify trainers, mentors that workers can identify with, and change the culture on the job site and how we communicate with one another. That considers cultural and generational differences. Some of those actually, now that we go through, have been or are in the process of being addressed. I know that touting the pay benefits and being mindful of how the information is communicated, I'm trying to make sure that a lot of our outreach efforts and flyers, documentation that I've been sending out has information about the pay, even though I can't list every single pay rate for the different classifications or the different job fields. I've still been working on getting that information out, especially by attending different events, getting the list of the pay rates per wage decision. That's what I was basing the pay rates off of, the more recent wage decisions from projects. But I made sure to get that information out to 2 career fairs that I attended recently. So that's a little bit that I can add to update that note there. Any other ideas or anything else to add to that area?
Well, with the DEI aspect of it, you know, I know that Walbeck is doing they're doing some groundbreaking work, you know, as far as working with some lead staff, especially, you know, foremen and things, and trying to, you know, get, you know, these employees to understand, you know, the cultural differences in working with minorities and women on these sites, you know, where most of, you know, our folks, HCST, are coming in. I mean, things have changed in the last 11 years since I've been here, but, you know, for the most part, they find themselves being the only people, you know, on the crew, you know, but in the same token, they're making some efforts looking at these contractors themselves That, to include, to make it, when we're putting pieces like this piece right here together, that we definitely have some contractor input. When we're talking about, you had a couple bullets right there. Getting these folks on the same page when you're working with ethnic minorities in our industry.
And I'm gonna piggyback off of what Renard said, and I hate to be volunteering Daniel Webster since he's not here, but Renard is absolutely correct. So maybe Walbeck could lead on some type of a workshop for the contractors to explain to them how they have approached diversity, equity, and inclusion, and the diversification of their workforce and equitable treatment of their workers. Because I agree 100% with Renard. They're the ones. I don't want to say the only one, but they're the ones to a degree that's highly visible with honesty, integrity, has been acting out here and trying to really reach out. Out around, wrap around Native populations, Black, women, female, everybody. And I know that employers listen to other employers, contractors listen to other business persons. They really feel if you in their same lane or shoes, then that adds to the credibility of the information that you're giving. And if Walbeck is seeing an increase in productivity based on their changes they've made, then that may inspire those other contractors to adopt those same principles.
Okay.
There's some very, very hard conversations to have.
Oh yeah.
Very difficult conversations to have when you're in the room and you're talking about DEI. And people get defensive. I'm talking about these contractors. Especially the lead staff. But they need to happen. Even though they're very hard conversations, they need to happen. Because these are the individuals, that are going to be coaching and training, our graduates up, man. And they have to know. I mean, they need to know. Like I said, they need to know. There are some differences. You know what I'm saying? There are some differences in the way the work is approached. And understanding the cultural orientations of these men and women. But there are some differences.
I agree.
Especially with perceptions.
Is that what you had stated with the possibilities of him holding a workshop?
Yep, that's exactly what I said. I mean, if y'all want to rephrase it, but I think that's probably what it is. It's a workshop for them, by them, hosted by one of them. As Warrenard said, to touch on what could be perceived as a very touchy subject, but I'm sure, with someone again from your same ilk, it's a lot easier to receive and have versus someone not. And Renard is right. I've had done this many times, and I've got varying responses from fear, anger, denial. It's like I'm not attacking you. I didn't come here to hurt you. I mean, I'm sorry if the truth hurts once you start to put that mirror on them and they look at themselves. But I want to help you resolve this. If you really want to, whether it's for financial or, equitable reasons. But I would I bet my bottom dollar that it'd be way better received by a while back than a
a
big
leading
step.
industry.
I'm gonna tell
a
you
leader.
like that. Yeah. Than a John Anderson. Yeah.
And I mean, I know everyone doesn't always look at the bigger picture, but there are definitely federal guidelines that have to be met even amongst the contractors. So why not a little bit of help helps you to meet those guidelines, helps us all in the end.
Right, and that ain't about gamesmanship. How can you get around 29 CFR? It's like, how is somebody accomplishing meeting the goals?
Right.
That's
Right.
again, better had by probably someone again from in their own club.
In the industry, yes. Okay.
If that's not working, and you're holding it back for a week or two, and you've met the goals. I don't agree with that. We want some full time. We want full time family supportive wage jobs. And if
long term
with benefits, if they have benefit packages. We're not doing anything to change the 97%, Caucasian male managerial, non-managerial statewide numbers. If we're biting on, well, I got you a flagging job for a month. That's not going to change the trajectory of those numbers.
Right. Okay. Let's see here. I'm not really doing the best as far as paying attention to time, but I'm guessing our breakout session is maybe over at 12. I don't know. So we have a little bit of time left here. Let's see.
It's actually, I usually do it at 10 to 12.
Okay. Thank you,
So,
Christina.
yeah.
Okay. 10 to 12. Let's see here. So the next strategy that's listed under that initial goal is to maximize opportunities to introduce the HCST graduates to contractors through networking and events. Mind you, I started making some notes here. John and Renard, you guys do not have to share with me even more the initiatives and efforts, because I know that you guys go above and beyond to connect the graduates. So I'm just going to go through and add in the additional information.
Yeah, well, you were there. You come in and
Yes.
so you
Yes.
show up. So we know
See it with
we
my
know
eyes.
that because we
Yes.
see you in the room and we appreciate having you in the room. And I tell you that every time, but I ain't gonna keep telling you that too, because it feels good. It makes a difference. It's great to have a DOT representative in the house. So that when I'm telling these grads about their relationship to DOT, it's not just lip service, but they can really connect with a person. So again, I really appreciate you and coming, to the graduations and the meet and greets and the things of that, as your schedule allows. It really matters. Just know that it really does matter.
And I appreciate that so much. I'm pushing the goal to make sure that I attend every graduation if possible. It is a little bit harder for me to get all the way up north to the tribal ground providers, but I'm going to make sure that that is on my list. I'll be attending those graduations during 2024 and continuing to attend your graduations and events within Forward Service and WRTP, because I also agree I like to just be able to bridge that connection so that they actually know, like you stated, John, that there is someone from DOT that is supportive within their efforts and that they can always communicate with. And to congratulate them and eat cake and stuff.
Yeah, and I don't know if it belongs on here, but the 38th annual DBE Network Summit or something, whatever we're calling it this year. It's coming up February. Golden Shovel. Yeah, that's what we just call it, Golden Shovel. February 28th and 29th. And usually do you have contractor? Yeah, that's what I just pulled to save the date because somebody asked me and I was like, I don't know, I ain't seen nothing. But yeah, I'm looking on the DOT website right now. It says February 28th and 29th, 2024, up at the Dells at the Glacier Canyon Conference Center. But the thing I want to make, Marguerite, and again, you can discern if it belongs right here, is that we usually always do well, I guess we'll call it HSCT grad now, speed networking with the contractors. So, that's another scripted thing.
Yeah.
And again, why I feel those types of things are impactful is because it's something being hosted by the Department of Transportation. So, they
Yes.
get to see that they're part of this bigger thing, this greater, this whole. I'm trying to get people to understand that they're now a part of industry and this is a career and I want them to now interface with they're people. You want to be a doctor, you got to hang out with doctors. You want to be a road construction, hang out with road construction people. But it's not like, you just know them and see them at Starbucks. So we have to create these types of venues and opportunities for them to network with these folks. And that's just low hanging fruit right there. That's just it's
Okay.
every year, Rosalind gonna call us up and harass us. Me and Renard, y'all bringing some grads. You coming? You want to do a workshop? She gonna do it. So
Yes, I love
we
Rosalind.
might as well make it a part of our strategy.
Yeah.
Because
Now, did you have a workshop at that because I was on the kind of the other side of it where I attended the consultant workshops. But did you have a workshop where for the DBEs and hiring labor?
So I escaped last year. I mean, I wasn't able to come last year. But I think my counterpart, Jacob Walton, did, and I'm not sure. In years gone by, I've always did do a workshop. And I was on a panel. So I'm open to it. If I have, whatever. If you talk to Roz, I got to respond to an email about do I want to do something. But I'm open to it. And I think it's a
Nice.
good idea. And I think we should make sure to do that. So that being, proactive.
I will shoot her a note and I'm sure she's going to be putting a plug in at the end of this session when we get back into the large group. And because she did also, I did just see, I got an email from her to send out the save the date and the info and the flyer to the whole group. So
Nice. Thank you. I was just going to ask about that too. I may have previously received the save the date, but that's definitely helpful. Otherwise, I was going to be going right to the DOT website.
So yeah, and I'll be resending this out after the meeting to everybody. So
okay,
Maggie, you be your first golden shovel.
it would be my first Golden Shovel Awards. That sounds like somewhere I need to attend.
Yes,
and it also looks like we're on the
That's a good
5-minute mark to go out.
Okay.
So I'll be sending the
Thank you.
message.
Okay. Yeah, so we do have what I'm going to do is send out this goals document to everyone that is in our labor breakout session group right now. Well, not right now, I'll send it, but I'll send it shortly after the meeting so that if there are any updates to any of these areas that we have not yet addressed, and any of you would feel like adding those updates or adding your ideas, I would greatly appreciate it. So I do think that that's what's going to be on the next agenda for our next DBE Stakeholder Labor Committee Advisory meeting will be to continue to address these goals, but I will also send out an update if anything changes in the meanwhile when I talk to Josh and or Mike.
Okay, sounds like a plan.
Okay, let's see here. I thank you all for your help. We're getting this going slowly but surely. Let me stop sharing. Everybody looking at themselves. Okay. Okay.
Maggie, John, I gotta get off. I have another meeting that's gonna be starting in a few minutes.
Oh,
Okay.
snap.
Okay. So
Thank you, Renard.
talk to you both.
Okay. All right. See you later. Good. I'm good till 2. Okay.
Okay. We'll be getting passed back to the main group pretty soon.
Yeah, that was fun. But yeah. And I liked
I wanted to say,
go ahead, baby.
I was gonna say, I wanted to say that to you all before anyone else has to drop off. Thank y'all for the work you've been doing as great advocates over the years for this work. So just thank you both so much.
Thank you, and we
Thank
appreciate you, and
you.
thank you as well.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yes.
It takes
To
all of
make changes
us.
to this labor workforce for sure.
Uh-oh, what I do here? Made small. Come back. Back. There we go. Yes, and thank you. I saw your email, so thanks for the cert.
Oh,
That'll come to Tony, and then she'll get it to us. It's all
I'm like,
good.
how did I? Mm, mm, mm.
Hey,
You know,
it's called the dregs of multitasking.
right?
You know,
Being
sometimes
human, right?
being human, exactly. Well said, being human. I try to do these little to-do lists, and then where did I put that piece of paper in? And, oh my God, I knew it was something I was supposed to do. And then, always trying to be in two places at once. So it's no harm, no foul. We appreciate you. And ooh, he'll appreciate it when he gets it. So it'll be fine.
Okay. I will
Mhm.
send that off right away. I won't. I'll be in the office Tuesday. I'll get that sent off first thing Tuesday morning.
That's fine. He owe us some stuff anyway. So
Okay.
I'm
Right.
a
We're
hold.
holding on to this
I'm
until
a,
you
I'm
got
a,
that.
hold his certificate hostage. I need his letter of eligibility or introduction. I think from a tradecraft union. So we'll hold his
Right.
stuff a hostage anyway. So
Okay.
quid pro quo. Let's make
Mhm.
sure we're still moving in the right direction.
Let him hurry up and get that in.
Yes. Oh, and I guess just to add a little bit to Raymond's suggestion, but I don't know if it's everywhere or if it's just a Milwaukee thing, but there's a group called Micah,
Mhm.
um,
How
which
would you
is
spell that?
Micha,
Okay.
and I think it's a group of faith-based, like a faith-based coalition. That was Micah, and what was the other one? Um, Let me think.
Common ground is another one.
Common ground.
Yeah,
Okay.
common ground. Yeah. Um,
And especially with them
Pastors
being
United
Pastors United,
is
especially
is a
with them
group called.
being local to Milwaukee and me being local, so I can actually drop into these places, or contact and set up the availability to drop in.
And I think
Common ground,
uh
Pastors United.
and I think as far as the Kojic churches go, I think Bishop Daniels is still the big the big dog in
Okay.
Milwaukee. Um, so if you reach out to him, and then he would could, pardon the term, bless, um, reaching out to all of the churches of Church of God in Christ. Sorry, I'm used to abbreviation Kojic, but for those who
Got it.
don't know will know what Kojic is.
Yep.
Um, yeah,
Okay.
on their website.
Yeah, I think there's another church that's kind of up and coming in Milwaukee, Epicos Church. I'm
Yeah.
gonna look into them too. Okay.
Okay. But yeah, that's always good, and I think that's a very good thing. And let me know if there's anything I can do either. Um, yeah, I'm a sometimey member, but I'm still in fairly good
Still
standing.
appreciated. Right. You're offering input, you're helping
Yeah,
out.
they act like they're
Very
happy when they
appreciated.
see me. They
Right?
take my tithes and offerings with no problems. I don't get any arguments there.
Right.
All
As
right,
long
so
as you tied it.
that's it. All right.
Yeah,
So
we hit that
we
10-minute
go
mark. We
back
should
to
be
the
getting sent.
back. Okay, yeah, because I only see.
I know we get pulled from group
Lord.
to group,
Yeah,
so I'm just waiting.
I think they just move us over here.
I don't know how she does that. Some sort of magic.
Child, I have not tried to conquer the whole breakout room thing. I know that in Zoom, I know it's possible. Obviously, Teams is possible. I'm just like, man, I'm lucky if I can share my screen and not mess up stuff. So, yeah.
Hey, I just sent a message because.
Okay, I'm just popping back over here.
Okay, thank you.
They-
Sorry, I wasn't sure
They
what to
asked
do.
for like 5 more minutes to do it at 5 too, so
Okay.
Oh,
I think they're going through a big presentation, I think, from somebody that did something on the colleges or whatever, that did kind of an overview of the DBE program with consultants, so I believe that's what they're reviewing anyway, so.
Right. That's okay. They're still working. It seemed like the meeting went fast today. Rainy
And
day vibes.
something's different with my team, so I used to be able to see emails of everybody, so I can kind of tell, that helps me tell what group to put them in. I can't see that anymore
Uh-oh.
on everybody. It's like if somebody has them private or whatever, so I'm sure that's for privacy of joining meetings, so, yeah.
mhm.
It's good and bad.
Mm-hmm. Right. Oh, teams can be tricky.
I have a question. In regards to labor, has there been any effort made to educate NPS on the future opportunities with the Department of Transportation and how they could be, in some way, creating like a trade element to equip students coming out of high school, with some of the basic skills that make them, attractive candidates for businesses, for the future?
Yes. Great question. I've also done a lot of asking recently as far as our involvement with MPS. And the way it was explained by Mike was that MPS is kind of tricky. They're kind of tight with allowing trade programs, training, pushing of trades for what reason. I know that we did have a program at one time that was in Audubon, and I believe that program was called the TRACK program. Did the same sort of thing, working with the youth within the school system to get them involved in the trades and the different trainings offered through DWD and DOT, the pre-apprentice route, and it didn't have very good outcome. So I thank you for bringing that up. That's something that I'm definitely working to figure out, because everyone's not. I know school is kind of focused on with pushing college. Everyone, as we see, is not going into college. The trades are very much up and coming. We're trying to work to make that more so. And I just think that it's something that should be allowed. But I was informed recently that it seems like the high schools are just working to get the kids out of high school post COVID.
Well,
There's a
okay,
lot of stress.
so point number 3 on our thing here is attract young and diverse workers to the industry. And to your point about NPS, 2 things. One, if they want to be school specific, then there's always Bradley Tech, which is their tech ed school, which we do some entry level construction skills. They're doing MC3, the multi-core craft curriculum there. But also NPS has what's called the Communities in Need program. So it's a certification. We just call it COIN, where it's kind of like RPP, with so many percentages of the construction build out the school district does has to be performed by resident workers. Well, how do you, the school district, help to facilitate to ensure there is a labor force to meet your stated need of 20% local participation if you're not giving them avenues to be prepared or connected. So I would probably recommend that maybe you contact whoever is over the COIN program at NPS and maybe have the conversation with them as to, we just want to help to help make folks aware of another avenue, because like they're already don't tell people about Big Step. Oh, go to Big Step. You want to get in the trades. And of course, when they come to us, we can tell them about HCST. But there are other opportunities within the Department of Transportation. There's, things that kind of maybe fall outside of our purview, that maybe are attractive to people. I don't know. I don't like for people to be left out for that.
Okay, looks like we're all back together. Thank you, Christina. Do we want to take a minute or two for each subcommittee to kind of just provide an overview of what they discussed? Is that okay, Madalena?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so why don't we start with the business committee and just do a real quick overview of what we discussed there, and then we'll turn over to labor.
You want me to
Do we have
go,
a
Madalena?
spokesperson here?
Or you want to go?
Sure. Yeah. Why don't you
Okay.
go ahead, Ruben? Thanks.
All right.
Thanks,
So
Ruben.
we had Professor Al Gorbanpar to present a study on the DBE, focusing on identifying and addressing barriers to DBEs. Brought back some very interesting findings. He actually, one of the findings was consistent with a lot of the discussion this morning. He put together a DBE disparity index showing that Black businesses face the greatest disparity among all the DBEs. But he also did a comparative analysis of how WISDOT does with other states, and said that at least WISDOT, I think, was number 16 in terms of meeting the overall goal. So it's interesting data, one that really needs to be dived into a little bit more, and that we need to have further discussions about, on what these findings really mean, and maybe look to some of these findings for how we might improve some things. At the end of the conversation, he talked about, some pilot projects that might help develop DBE capacity, and so maybe those should be looked at even further. So Madalena, you want to add?
Great, thanks, Ruben. And I think what we want to do is continue that conversation and have the professor back and be looking further into how WISDOT will be addressing those recommendations, what we can do, what we aren't sure we can do, and what maybe we can't do but could change moving forward. So thanks for everyone who participated in that conversation.
And then let's go over to labor real quick. Who would like to recap that, please?
So I'm the only facilitator from our group.
Thanks, Maggie.
Is here today. Yep, so no problem. What we did was we continued to go over the goals of our, we have a 2024 goal document, and we continue to address some of those goals to discuss bringing more diverse workers into the industry, looking at ways on changing up our language that we use within the industry, just explaining the workforce, addressing some wage rates, and just making things easier as far as participation between unions, contractors, looking at ways that we can help to increase the labor workforce. In all reality, we addressed some of those goals, made some updates to it. I do have plans on sending out that goal document to all those in the group, but I can send it to the entire committee as well, if that's helpful.
Okay. Thank you, Maggie.
You're welcome.
Is there any other business that anyone would like to bring up at this time?
Maybe Christina can just give us a reminder of when our next meeting is. I think it's in January.
25th, maybe? I think it's the 25th.
Okay. Great. So we'll look forward to seeing all of you in the new year. Hopefully we'll see many of you in between. Thanks to everybody for contributing today. Professor, thank you for being here. Bob, thanks for getting your team on board to share such great information with us. So to all participants, we appreciate you. All the DBs who came today, thank you. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you all.
Thank
All right,
you.
thank you.
Thank you. Have a good afternoon, everyone.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much for your
Good.
time.
Bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thanks, everyone.